All right. All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say we are live. There's 2 people watching.
Nice. And to all those on Instagram that are jumping on, what's happening? Link is in YouTube for everybody to jump over. So thanks for jumping on, everybody. So I'm going to be on Kyle's channel. He's got better audio and visual equipment, so he's got it all set up over there. So make sure you click that link and jump over there, guys.
That's not what's important, though. That's not what's important, you know. You're the sub 3 hour marathoner in this conversation, so
hey, it's all relative, right? At the end of the day,
that
we're all
was
running 26.2 miles. It doesn't really matter who's faster or not. We're all completing the same distance. Or in our case now, half marathons.
Oh my God. You know what's really cool? And I just realized, not that I want to like shout out. I mean, you can see it. It's through StreamYard. But StreamYard is giving me the comments in the chat through right here. So I don't even have to have YouTube open.
Oh, nice.
But hey, Running Geek Girl, thanks for stopping by, even though I may have begged you to come on by. But hey. Welcome, gang. Speaking of marathon PRs, it was actually the virtual marathon for New York City in 2020 that I ran, like by far my PR.
Oh, nice.
Its own funny story.
Fill me in, and then I'll fill you in on my virtual 2020 story as well.
Perfect. Well, I will say it's funny because 2020 was like by far my best year. And going into 2021, like in terms of running, like I was by far the fittest I've ever been. And when New York City got moved to virtual, I was really not too hyped on it. Like I was very much, that doesn't sound like it's for me. I wanted the New York City experience, but like still just like decided it felt, I was still fundraising. I was fundraising. Man, that's a whole story in itself. Yeah, everyone's fundraising turned into like a 3-year fundraiser because things were getting pushed back and back.
They got more money for whatever you were fundraising for, so it's good.
I needed the time for sure. And yeah, so I was raising money for Parkinson's research. And honestly, doing the virtual was like helped with that. I could kind of set some things up around that. But yeah. So basically, I picked a spot, which is actually where I'm running the half marathon this coming March.
Nice.
It's a great trail. It's a rail trail. It goes for 26 plus miles one way if you wanted to. Local here, and just went out with the goal of not running a single mile slower than 9:50. That was like I was like, if I just do that, I'll break that. I'll break my 4 hour, and my PR at the time was like 4:50. Like,
right.
So it was like I just hadn't run a marathon in so long. So to be like today, I could take like 45 minutes off my PR was like the dumbest thing to say out loud. Yeah. And like believe it. But yeah, it was just, it was a heck of an experience, because I did all the running completely by myself, on this pavement trail with minimal turns. But it just kept going and going. The miles go by and you get to 12, 13, you hit your half marathon point and you're just like, okay, we're still cruising, and pretty much cruise until like 21, 22. And then your classic wall hits, and I stopped at the car because I miscalculated like the distance. Like stopping at the car was supposed to be my finish, but it was really like 24 and a half or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm notorious for that type of calculation, by the way.
Cutting your races short.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to just call it there. Just send it into the New York City, see what they think. But yeah, I got to the car and like we've got Emily, my girlfriend, was shooting some video, and I was like, just so angry with like my miscalculation I was just like, I squatted on the ground for a second, and I was like so upset that I had to like now leave the vehicle and come back. And then I tell you what, those last 2 miles, I like the way I started it was the exact same way I finished it. I was like, Kyle, you better not run either of these miles slower than 9:50. Like that was I wasn't worried about total time numbers or anything. I was just like, anything slower than 9:50 is not cool right now, man.
Yeah. Because
there's like families.
Back to your car. So you notoriously cut your races short. I think my wife jumped on. She knows I'm notorious for going longer than I said I was going to go. So sorry, Michelle. I always say I'm going to be home at a certain time, and 10, 11 minutes later, I'm strolling in the door. So and you're right, running geek girl. 2020 was the peak of virtual racing, and I hope that stays the peak and never comes back to being any more of a peak than that.
I'm happy for everyone who got it done that year, but like at the same time, Emily signed on. Thanks for signing on. Yeah, okay, yeah, Emily, that's my partner, Emily. She confirms that I almost never come back. Like when I'll be like, yeah, 35 minutes should be exact, and then like 50 minutes later, I roll in the door.
Yeah,
but hey,
gotta do what you gotta do. We're
exactly. Running. Well, cool. I mean, honestly, for the sake of this, do you want to give us like a 1 minute intro into you, and then you can take that.
I'll ask you the same thing, man. Yeah. So
yeah.
Long story short, I'm a recovering triathlon addict turned only runner. And I wish I would have done this earlier and still get on the bike. Still love the bike out here in sunny California. So I get to ride the bike year round. And clearly my favorite race is the New York Marathon. 7 New York marathons in now.
I was going to ask you about that too.
Yeah, it's just the greatest. And so during 2020, I did not find an affinity for virtual racing. I did one, and that was New York, and that was it. Just because I love that race, so I wanted to support them, even if it was just through a virtual medal. And I found a love for trail running, actually. And so that's where I'm spending a ton of time right now, is in the dirt.
We can let me pull up some notes here that I was taking on. I was watching some of your videos. I was like totally like creeping on your Strava, and you recently did a run. If I can navigate things here, that I specifically screenshotted, and you did 10.7 miles with an elevation gain of 2,600. Looks like it was somewhere through the mountains of California.
Yeah,
that was like. Just from what I had seen from some of your videos, I was like, yeah, this guy's a road runner guy. Like he crushes pavement. He's a fast marathoner. And then I went and checked Strava, and embarrassingly wasn't following you. I follow you now.
That's okay.
I saw that workout and I was like, well, that is wildly impressive. And I would like to know more.
Yeah. But we got to get to you here in a second. Yeah. So my first time ever running trails was 2000. I want to say 15 or 16, somewhere in there. I did a 50 miler in ASIC Cumulus 17 at the time. So like, I had no idea what I was doing, right? And then I never ran trails again. And now I just think it was COVID really that threw me out there. Right. And I just love it. But that run that you're talking about, I actually filmed it and I just finished the video. So I'll be putting it up on YouTube literally right after this. So
excellent. So you were just like isolation.
Just like you. I'm sure you have incredible trails right by your house.
I will say
30 minutes from my house.
Yeah. So that is close to your house?
Yeah, that's about 30 minutes. And most of it's on a dirt road once I get out to the foothills of the Saddleback Mountains. So
very cool. Yeah, I was wondering if that was in your own backyard.
Not quite my backyard, but close enough.
Yeah.
So fill me on you. Give me your background for those that are on my Instagram or on here that don't know anything about you. Hopefully Emily will be able to answer all of this stuff for you.
Yeah, we got Emily in there, and my sister Jess is in there. She was impressed with your New York 7 times. Thanks for signing on, Jess. You're killer. You're killer. Also, Jess was like my whole support crew for New York City. I flew in. She did so much organizing for me. It's literally unbelievable because I would just be like, I want, I need dinner and I need to be a lot of calories and I feel like eating bread. And she would just be like, okay, like she would like make the reservation, get me
She
there.
from there?
No, I mean, well, so I guess backing up, I mean, we're both upstate New Yorkers. Like we're born and raised upstate New York in a little college town way up there. But no, she came in from Boston and I flew in from Raleigh and
nice.
Kept me alive for 3-4 days there, which was
good on you, Jess. Good on you. I
help.
know how tough that can be on race weekend.
Especially New York, man. Okay, so again, I went back and looked at your New York City on Strava, and you actually recorded like 200 more feet of elevation gain than I did, which I thought it was a lot with 800, but yours was over 1,000 feet of gain, and I was not ready at all for that type of elevation gain personally. So
it's quite,
which is again,
New York is deceptively hard, but can be fast. It's a weird course, but clearly I love it because I've done it so many times and gonna go back again this year.
Yeah, we'll see. I will say after doing a big one, there's a lot of aspects that I was like, I mean, just the pre-race, like my start time was like noon.
Oh shoot.
And I got there at 7:30, like at the pre-race, and I was just like, all right, well, I'm gonna eat like a dozen bagels. I'm gonna drink coffee for a while. I would say the only blessing was, there was 30,000 runners rather than 55,000. So like pre-race village was, you had space. Like I could be like, that's my porta john. I don't think anyone else used it for like the whole 5 hours.
So empty this year. It was very, very empty. But if you like the big city feel, but not that sitting around and waiting, Chicago's a go.
That's
fast.
That's what I've picked up on. Chicago would be the one that I won't be going over like 1,000 bridges and constantly up and downing.
I think maybe 100 feet, if that.
That's best case scenario.
And most of it is in like the last 400 meters probably last 800 meters when you're coming up Franklin into Grant Park. There's one hill. That's it.
And we'll then I'll probably get to meet Michael. I'll track down the Kafuzi Run Club and actually make it.
They
to
do
one of those.
Big crew there.
I'm sure. Okay, yeah, Jess is in. She says, "Here we come, Chicago." I just got to get in somehow.
I'll connect you with my buddies out there, Jess, so you don't have to research the food. They'll just tell you where to eat.
Perfect. Okay, well, I guess this leads into an aspect of me that I can introduce here. Underestimated that. Okay, so he's checking in from New Zealand, so I really appreciate that. It's Monday for him, so props, my friend. And also, Chicago 22 might be good. I won't be for me, but maybe. I don't think so. I have no idea. But yeah, when it comes to food, I'm going on almost 3 years vegan.
Dang.
So I'm
okay. How do you feel then? So what's pre-race? What's like what's pre-hard workout? And then what do you do? Not that we don't have our fair share of vegans in California, but I also just eat pizza and Chipotle.
So. Yeah, well, hey man, you nailed 50% of that is a lot of my diet. Chipotle is a go-to for me. Like that's like, like when I need 1,600 plus calories, it's straight to Chipotle. But I mean, New York was easy because we found a completely vegan like sushi shop.
Oh, nice.
Like you could eat anything you want and find like the completely vegan version of it. But no, I mean, honestly, my whole thing with it is I just eat. I eat as much whenever I want. Like there's no, and I eat a ton. Like that's Emily will tell you I eat relatively constantly, which is
Grocery
like,
bill is high in the McCue apartment village.
oh yeah, we especially like my whole philosophy on the grocery store is like that's when you get whatever you want as much as you want, because it's ultimately just going to be cheaper than when I go to Chipotle every single day. Like it's going to be so much cheaper. So
True.
stock up at the grocery store. But also like we spend so much, like, I mean, 60% of our cart is from produce. Like my staples are basically, I'm going in, I'm getting bananas, oranges, 2 different kinds of leafy greens. And we're definitely walking out with like a loaf of Ezekiel bread and like peanut butter and oats. Like if I have those things, I'm like pretty fueled for like the next decade. So
standard.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically a lot of attempted whole grain carbs. But that being said,
Apologize
like,
about the sirens if you can hear those.
oh no, I can't. I don't know if it's coming through on the YouTube, but I can't hear it. Yeah, Emily says all day nonstop. Jess confirms with dude eats all day. Yep. Eating heaps because so much of it is low calorie. Yeah, 5-year vegan right there. That's what I'm talking about.
You guys are beasts.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it was
dedication.
What's that? Yeah,
takes dedication. I mean, 5 years. That's I don't even think the vegan trend hit LA area where I'm at for not even that long ago. So now you can find it, but before it was challenging.
Yeah, it's definitely it was something when I started. Okay, well, I mean, literally, it started as a bet, honestly, between me and Emily, because I always talked about it, and she was basically like, "Well, like either like do it or like shut up about it." That was kind of what it got to. So we were like, "All right, fine, I'm gonna do it for good to watch you guys together. Thanks for coming in, Guillermo. We got we got one." And yeah, so it started as a 6-month bet. And if I could be vegan for 6 months, she was going to buy me this pair of pants that I really wanted. And which is really stupid, but like I still wear them all the time. Great pair of pants. So yeah, I went vegan for 6 months.
Find the next bet to get another pair, man.
Yeah, that's true. I should have definitely like ended it and then restated a new bet. Be like, all right, next 6 months we're doing it again. But yeah, honestly, it just kept going, and it was something where I always saw myself as, it was something I always talked about being like the best version of myself. I just saw that person as being vegan. Like I saw myself as someone who,
yeah, for sure.
You know, if it wasn't necessary for me to eat animal products, then I wasn't gonna do it. And that was the key too. If my body wasn't down with it, it wouldn't have worked. And that's the key, right? Like fuel. Like if you want to switch to something like vegan or any diet, like I would say just try it. And if it doesn't work for you, then make the adjustments to make it work, whatever it is. Like, but
yeah, I would have to make a very heavy decision to make this switch. I did with a college friend of mine, vegetarian for a little bit, and I just wasn't getting enough. And then we went to fish as our meat, and it was fine. And then I just stopped. No reason other than I think convenience is probably the best way to describe why I transitioned.
Honestly, it's one of those things that I kind of see it as inevitable. Like when I think of like utopia Earth one day, like 100 years from now, if society doesn't collapse in any capacity. But like, and this is not at all about running, so I guess we can somehow get back to running. But like, it's just kind of one of those things where like in my perfect world, it's like, it doesn't seem necessary. So like if it works for me now and eventually it just becomes like the norm, I'm fine with I guess being, part of that. That's a very like non-existential, long-term, macro way of looking at it, I
Yeah, for
guess.
sure.
But yeah,
All right,
so
speaking
we did
macro,
say we were gonna,
let's go. Talk to me about your training, man. We were gonna do this a couple weeks ago. Came down with the Rona.
I did, yeah. So that's a good transition of health into my poor health of recent.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, you sound just like you normally do. So it doesn't sound like it. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't sound like it took too big of an effect on you.
No, honestly, like I told, everyone I've talked to about it, like I'm mainly just feel blessed that, we got this far in, like doing all the right stuff. And it ultimately just came down to, the most recent variant is super contagious. I got to travel for work sometimes. It's a risk at this point I was more willing to take just because I'm, vaxxed and boosted. I'm a younger person. I don't have any, underlying ailments. So yeah, it ultimately at this point isn't life threatening. I'm not I'm in no way a professional. But for me personally, it didn't seem that bad. And yeah, my experience with it was, a sore throat that you could barely tell. And then, 2 days later, pretty much all of it hit for a day or two. And then, about a week, I was feeling good. And that kind of gets me into this week where I tried running on Monday, and it definitely kind of knocked me on my butt a little bit. Just like the chest. Things just felt heavy and not quite ready. And then I tried it out again on Thursday, much better. So I can officially say that tomorrow, Monday, if you're not in New Zealand, underestimated. Tomorrow I'll be starting kind of a adjusted 6-week training block leading into.
What do we got? 6 weeks left or something like that?
Yeah. I've adjusted my goal too. I mean, originally I was going for 8-minute pace. I think I'm going to be aiming more like 8:15.
Nice.
Just which is, I mean, still a PR for me. Like,
but that's still like, even though it shows your base fitness. If you're going to be able to just drop 15 seconds a mile, that's a good day away from being 8:05s.
Yeah. Which is like, hey, hopefully, depending on how good the sleep is on 3:19 and the breakfast on 3:20, who knows? I've definitely been. I honestly think the base from New York City was pretty unreal.
Nice.
So, and I got a lot of really slow miles in. I think I did like a 17, a 19, and a 20, and a 21. Like, the 5 weeks leading into New York, and then New York itself. So, granted, it's been some time. I do think that there is kind of a base.
Sticks around though. That
thankfully.
Big fitness. And I know you had an injury in there. It doesn't just fall apart instantly. So you're able to carry that into this next training process, and you're probably feeling the benefits. And even though the Rona took out a week of your training, maybe a week and a half, doesn't get rid of what's in your legs, which is,
I definitely, everything feels good, but but the lungs. But I think we're at the point where I can make that. I can catalyze that by kind of working it out a little bit this coming week. Honestly, we're looking at about 6 weeks. We're not doing a 2-week taper anymore. We're doing a 1-week taper. The speed work is going to be way more of essentially just rotating 5K and 10K pace. In on Thursdays or Wednesdays. I'm just going to be, that longer midweek run that's maybe 4 or 5 miles. We're going to throw, 3 miles in at 10K. So I guess whatever my goal pace is, take like 30 seconds off it. I guess like a 7:45 goal pace for that like 10K and just get the turnover and cross the fingers.
Cross the fingers, cross the toes, throw in the towel, whatever you need to do, get it going. But you
we'll
still
get
have
it
6
done.
weeks. I mean, 6 weeks is a long time, man, especially for a half marathon. And like you said, your base fitness is there. And now it's just a matter of, can your legs spin in that fast of a circle for 13.1 miles?
Right. Well, hopefully we'll be actually, it's funny. I only have this handy because you specifically, I watched your video on the Zoom Fly 4s, and I was just like, for $160.
There you go.
The best shoe you're gonna buy for $160. I have been preaching this since the first digital graphics of the Endorphin Speeds in like January 2020 came out. Like, my God, single-handed best shoe.
The only reason I still wear them is because I paid $160 for them, so I'm just gonna wear them until they ground.
Yeah, I will say they look dope. They look dope.
I
was tempted.
They look fast, but
they do. They look. I mean, they're Nike.
Nobody should buy them. Those. So I have now 3 or 4 pairs of the Pro ones because they went on sale for like $99. And
dang,
like I use them for my long runs, or sometimes my, like you said, the 2 big workouts a week. So Saturdays for me and Wednesdays typically. Those are when I would wear those, but that's only when I'm getting into like my marathon pacing or my half marathon pacing. Now I'm just trying to burn a hole in my Zoom Flies so I never have to look at them again.
Right. Yeah. I think, like you said, they're probably more of a look good on the airplane shoe kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Susie, don't worry about being late. I see you. I run things. You rock. Thanks for making it into the chat. And you can get back to dinner prep if you want. Maybe set us up on the kitchen counter. But
what's for dinner, Susie?
Yeah. Oh boy, now we're really calling people out.
Yeah, hopefully she's able to type as she's stirring whatever she's got on. And doesn't.
I'm imagining just like the chef knife is rocking through like. But we're talking about shoes and we're transitioning into some half marathon training talk. I want to know about how you're prepping for that 3:20 half marathon. Not 3:20 time. 3:20 is the date for like the 6 people.
It may be 3:20. We have no idea.
Yeah. But how you training? What are you running in?
Yeah, so I'm going back to New York again. I'm gonna go run the New York half. Clearly, I have a problem with New York City. I never want to live there ever, so I just go visit a couple times a year. But so after Chicago, you and I had kind of talked about it, but I had major back and sciatic issues. So I have an annular fissure, herniated disc that are causing some severe sciatic issues in my left side. And so after Chicago, I ran twice and then went and ran New York City, which was not a good decision, but I did it. And then I took all of November and almost all of December off doing PT, chiropractic work, and then recently have gotten a epidural in my back. And actually today was the first day when I picked up my pace where I was kind of like, that actually felt like me running. Like it didn't feel labored. It didn't feel like anything adjusted. And so training has been unique. I did not pick up my pace other than slow. And my first time was last week. And I did one fartlek of 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 10 of those. And then this week I did 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. And then today I did 3 minutes on, 1.5 minutes off. And so
it's happening.
Yeah. So today was like the first day. It was like, whoa, like no issues, a little bit of like tightness, but not that nervy all the way down my leg issues.
Right.
So I'm not going to PR. My PR is 118. So there's no chance I'm going to get there. But I'm hoping, what depends, like my base fitness will be there, but it's how much am I going to be able to open up my stride? And that's going to be my biggest problem. I'm not a cadence runner. You know, a lot of people you see like quick turnovers. That's not me. I'm a stride runner. So like, you know, the what is it? The ASICS race shoes right now. They have like one for cadence runners and they have one for stride runners. It's like I'm blanking on the name of the race shoes right now. Meta Speed Sky or Meta Speed Edge, I think is what they are. One of them's for cadence and one of them is for stride runners. So I'm a full stride runner and I can't fully open up. Well, today was the first day where like, okay, I can actually turn a stride and got like just below where my marathon PR was, and it felt normal, which is good. So the biggest workout I'll do will be 2.5 weeks out. I'll get about 8 to 10 miles in at whatever I think my body can do. And then I'll look at my watch at the end and I'll say, that's my race pace. So if my body is able to feel normal, I would probably guess it's probably gonna be around a 122 in the fitness I'm in. If it doesn't feel normal, probably 124, 5, 6, somewhere in there. So, but I'm just trying to be real. I'm just trying to be real about what's gonna happen, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, that whole concept is flipping the script a bit for me. That like the fact that you're essentially doing a time trial, you know, a month out from a race and allowing that to tell you what you can do on race day or what you should aim for.
Yeah. So I used to coach until, like I had mentioned, my job, I changed jobs and now I don't coach people anymore because I don't have the mental bandwidth to give to what runner, give people that I want to help coach. I don't have the ability to do that now. And I don't think that's fair to somebody paying me to coach them. It's not fair. So I don't do that anymore. But there's typically 2 workouts that I give people. And I say, based upon how this workout goes, we'll most likely be able to tell you how you run. And you can predict it within a couple minutes. In my current PR, it was the same thing. It was like, if you run a decent race, you control yourself, I will run somewhere between a 244 and a 245.5. And I ran a 244.53. And is that your mind like putting guardrails on what you can do?
Right.
Maybe, but I know I gave everything that day. And that's just happens to be where I landed. That same workout told me this year in Chicago, I would have ran like a 239.50 something, but my wheels came off and I was destroyed. And I think this injury was creeping in at the same time. I'm not sure if it was the injury, but I didn't run very well. I just had a bad race and ended up running slower than that. So. But
we're just trying to get back.
Yeah, that's right. We're both trying to come back from injury. But no, I think to me, there's a couple workouts that just give me that mindset of this is what I should be able to do and build into it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I look back on, I did a real memory lane on Strava this morning, because I was curious of looking back, because I remember doing some really great runs for me back like January 2021.
Right.
And there was one, it was the first time I ran the Endorphin Pros, and I was just testing them out, and I went out for a 15 miler and I averaged like 8:12s, and it was like a nice cool day. And I was like, holy crap. And that's my half marathon PR. When I go and look at like my Strava best like efforts, it's like, it was an accident then. Like, and it's just a good benchmark of like, man, like, well, one, it sucks because like I really wasn't even training for anything then, and I was probably the fittest I've ever been. But it is also like, if I just stay the course, that's how I'm seeing kind of this half marathon in March, is like get to that level of comfort and don't mess it up this time, and don't ramp up the miles too quick. Don't, listen to your body. I mean, my injury,
if you can do that in a 15-mile training run, you'll be able to rip it in a race. That's 2 miles less.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was complete. Like I just knew I think I was just hyped on the new shoes too. Like I'm an endorphin hype beast. Like at its
Me
absolute
too.
best.
Clearly, I
Like
have 4 of them.
yeah, like that's. I mean, I'm sure. But also, I guess one thing is like I do shoe reviews on my channel, and often I get comments like, compare these with those, and I'm like, I don't actually run in a ton of pairs of shoes. Like it's like when I like a pair of shoes, like I'm probably gonna run them out to 200-300 miles. So it's kind of like I don't know, like there's not like I hate misleading people when I do a shoe review because it's like I don't run in tons of shoes. Like if I find a shoe I like, we're paying for our own shoes, and two, like
I was burning through shoes pretty quick. So I was doing about 300 miles a month for a while. Dang. So I was able to try out a bunch of different ones. I have not tried the Adios Pro 2s. I have, I saw a Runner Estimated ask that. I have the ones, the first ones. I don't know how much of a change there was in them. I know there's a little bit in the heel, but as much as like when you really boil it down, it just looks like the upper changed a little bit. I love my ones. I ran my PR half marathon in the ones in there, and who knows if I'm gonna run in them in New York again. I've yet to make that decision, but I love them. So I'm also a guy, unless there's a big change, I go for the previous version every single time. So like Nova Blast, I have not bought Nova Blast 2, only one, but the 3 looks like it's gonna be a big change. The Endorphin Pros, I have the ones because there wasn't much of a change in the 2s, but the 3s, I'll probably get the 3s because there's going to be a big change in them. So that's kind of my shoe thing. And then retiring shoes, when they don't feel good anymore. I don't know about you, Kyle, but when they just don't feel good anymore, that's when I stop.
Yeah, I totally stand by that. I often think shoes are getting discarded too early for most people, but for me, it's if there's a huge hole in the upper, which is almost never the case. For me, like the upper is never getting ripped up too much. The outsole, I don't think I scuff too much, or I don't have like a high.
Where's your wear pattern at?
Oh, these won't tell you anything. I'm gonna say, honestly, the pegs have too hardcore of an outsole too. If anything, it's like inside of the forefoot, probably on the toe, like inside of the toe box. Ooh, I don't get like anything on the heel. Oh my god, he's out.
Camera. For some reason, my camera just turned off.
Overheating. We've gone longer than we said we would. But yeah, in terms of miles, I think most shoes. I mean, I don't know. It depends on the midsole, right? Like people say ZoomX shoe, the ZoomX midsole is like more of a less than 200 mile midsole, but like you use it for a race day, like if you're running in Vaporflies. But like and then React midsoles for Nike like are supposed to be able to go, I would say 400 or 500 miles, like at least.
React is dead though, man. I'm not into it anymore.
I mean, hey, I understand. I totally understand. It works. Yeah, I mean, is the Zoomfly 4s, are they all React? Or no, there's ZoomX.
I believe they are, but I don't think it's the phone. I don't know what it is about them, but they feel like Dutch clogs. They're clunky shoes. But the ZoomX, so I'm about 190 into the Invincibles, and I'll buy 100 more pair of those for easy days. They're the best shoes on the planet for easy days.
Maybe I should try them.
That or
I've never run them.
A6 Glide Ride 1, the original. I did not like the 2, so I went back to the 1. Actually returned my 2s and bought 1s again. So those are great. Those are great as well. But those are if you like the stack height.
Right. I will say in the first speeds, when I first put them on, I think I was going from like a Brooks launch, which is like a pretty thin
It's like the
little
Sunday
thing, like a
newspaper under
5K.
your feet.
Yeah. It's like I wasn't thinking. No, they're decent shoes, and plus they're $110 a pop consistently. So like good shoes, Brooks launch. But I think going from that into the new Power Run PB Saucony midsole, nylon plate, so it's still soft. It's not like a hard carbon plate, and it was just like I honestly felt like I had to like slow down for 90-degree turns, and like I thought I was gonna just tip over and like abandon ship because it was so just like this rocking boat. I mean, after like 2-3 runs, it felt great, but
that's what the pros feel. Adios pros felt like to me.
Just tights / leggings on a run? If so, how was the experience on a day-to-day basis? I'm thinking of trying just wearing tights on a run and not with shorts. I personally ran New York City in just half tights, and I'm a big fan of wearing. Honestly, it's always interesting because I would say when you're looking at tights, you have to go and like really see them. And this is going to sound weird, I guess, like on a model, because some tights just aren't made, I feel like, to be worn by themselves. Like you really got to be spot on with like, are these made?
You have to get running specific ones, not the Nike combat tights.
Yeah.
Nike makes great running tights. They make great running tights, but they make great running tights. The combat ones are not meant to be worn on their own.
That's yeah. I think paying for a little bit more when it comes to tights is big. I have one pair of like full winter Tracksmith tights that I absolutely love. I haven't worn them by themselves, but I totally would. Like it's just I wear them in the winter, so most of the time I'm trying to put more layers on. I know I personally like I remember going and looking at tights, and I was like going through other reviews because I wanted to see people running in them. Okay, yeah, Susie loves the Brooks launch. I almost felt like she would say that. They did great things for me for years. But yeah, in terms of tights, ultimately I guess it's a confidence thing, right?
So the reason my brother and I were laughing on one of my runs because I wore tights in Chicago for the first time, and I kept going back and forth because I'm like, only fast people wear tights. That was like my mindset.
Right.
Like,
that's another mindset.
Fast, and I'm like, I'm not fast enough to wear tights with my mindset. And I finally wore one pair on my 17 or 16 mile like race pace. This was going to see what I was going to be able to do in Chicago run. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to do it. And then I got a pair of John G. So the whole adage of don't wear something brand new on race day. Well, I've done that 4 times and it's always been totally fine. So don't listen to anyone that tells you that. But
bold.
I do more a new pair of shoes. So my PR in New York, my fastest ever in New York. I got there and remember I can't remember who asked like when I retire shoes. I got there, and at this time I was running in Asics Dynablasts, if they even exist, or Dynaflights. The ones that don't exist anymore. I think it's the Dynaflights.
Okay.
And I got off the plane. I was like, man, my feet hurt. And then I looked at my shoes. They were pretty beat up. And I was like, oh, shoot. I just need a new pair of shoes. Well, at that point in time, they'd already gone to Dynaflight 2s, and I'd only been running in Dynaflight 1s. And I was like, we should call every running store in Manhattan and find a pair of Dynaflight 1s. Found the exact same shoes, wore them this was Saturday afternoon, race Sunday morning. Put them on in the running store, and they're like, oh, here's your box. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to walk to the hotel because I'm going to race in these tomorrow morning. And
I'm going to break them in.
Yeah, and so I literally walked just to the subway, walked from the subway to my hotel, and then wore them the next race morning. Ended up running my fastest time at that time in brand new shoes. So
Okay. So if you're taking anything away from this, wear tights whenever you want and always race in brand new shoes.
And brand new shoes. That's right. That's exactly what it is. So no, I think a lot of it, if you get quality goods now, as long as it's something that you've done before, I don't think it really matters. I mean, I wouldn't go get a cheap pair of tights or shoes that I haven't worn, but I'd put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles in the Dynablast ones or Dynaflight ones, whatever they were. I think they were Dynaflights. I just needed some that weren't jacked up anymore.
Yeah, so you knew what they felt like. Like you knew your how your feet would react to a new pair. I wouldn't. I'm not just gonna probably jump into like a Hoka Racer. When all I've worn is Saucony and Nike for the last like 2 years.
Yeah, and my PR is actually still in the Dynaflights. I don't even have a PR in the super shoes.
Best shoe ever, I suppose.
Clearly. I have a pair with the tags on still. Maybe I should wear those again.
Save them for that. Yeah. Save them for 320.
Exactly.
Well, hey man, we talked about going for 25, 30 minutes. We're crushing.
We're at 46. So clearly we have a bunch to talk about. We should knock another one out, catch up on New York experiences, training again.
Absolutely. I'll let you know if my lungs hold up this week.
Say that again?
I'll let you know if my lungs hold up this week.
And, for sure. And I'll let you know if my sciatic nerve holds up again.
Exactly. We've got some things to check in on. I saw, Susie's big fan of the half tights, obviously as a woman. It's I guess just more socially acceptable. I don't know what it is. I mean, guys are too I guess I think everyone struggles with exactly what you said, is like, if you're not Mo Farah, if you're not, Kipchoge, like, I don't deserve to wear tights. Like, that's kind of like the mindset. But then you go to a
triathlon like my old world, and everyone is spandex to the max, whether you're in first place or whether you're in last place, whether you're male or female, whether you're razor thin elite, like those racers, or a Clydesdale is what is a division in triathlon. Everyone's full gas spandex.
Right. It's the only way to do it. It's the only way to survive, I feel like, in the world of triathlon.
Exactly.
But I feel like we got to most of these questions. We got more to talk about. I feel like we just kind of like how do we sign off for this first live session? What's like your words of wisdom?
East Coast or West Coast rap. That should be our sign off this week.
Whoa. Well, I will say, I mean, God, I'm the biggest Kendrick Lamar fan there is, so I'm not really representing East Coast too well.
No, that's definitely in my neck of the woods.
I don't.
We'll chalk one up to the West Coast this week.
Yeah. We can leave it there. What in general? What are you listening to? If not during your runs, what are you listening to this week that might be worth recommending?
Yeah. Okay. So actually, let me look it up. So the only time I listen to music is if I'm doing the downhill on trails. I don't listen to it going up. I don't know why. Habit. I just don't. Or like I mentioned to you, most of my miles are in the dark. And so I don't like to have headphones in the dark. I just don't feel safe. But the hills that I do by my house, it's just street lights. And so I've been doing audiobooks. And actually the book I'm listening to right now is by Matt Fitzgerald. It's called The Comeback Quotient. And I will highly recommend downloading that on audiobook. It's all about the ultra realists and the mindset of ultra realists and how they are able to bounce back from, their setbacks or their comebacks and what they do. So that's what I'm listening. I listen to a book as I'm climbing hills to try to keep my mind off of the grind.
Hey, and it sounds pretty appropriate to the both of us kind of coming back from setbacks.
Yeah, what are you listening to? And then we'll call it.
So I will say I don't listen to music period while running. I honestly, that's like a story for another time. I've got weird like ear issues and like TMJ jaw stuff going on. Basically, headphones don't work with me. I've tried everything from like the bone conduction
aftershock ones that are like out here or whatever.
Yeah, like I've tried most things because I do love music and I think it's like can really get you. I think it can get you over that edge, like during a training run, whatever it is. But I mean, for years I just haven't listened to music or anything during runs. I was actually just opening up. I'm an Apple Music guy myself. I have been really reliving just about every Killers album these days. Starting with the early stuff and running through Sam's Town and Day and Age. And then
look at what's number one on my Spotify when I pull it up.
There you go. This is what
I was just listening to him yesterday. Literally, I just opened Spotify. It's right there. That's funny.
I've been in a hardcore like throwback. I made a playlist the other day that is just like Foo Fighters, Panic at the Disco, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine. So it was I'm definitely in like a throwback millennial
nice.
like playlist phase. So that's what I'm commuting on these days. That or Rich Roll pretty much is my go-to podcast.
There you go. Nice, man. Well, dude, this was a good time.
Absolutely.
Thanks for all the 10 people that joined at some point in time.
Heck yeah. Thank you, gang. Susie, mad comments at the end. The Boston 10s are entirely different. Oh, she's hitting us with her shoe info. European men wearing half tights all the time. All of us just need a little bit more European in us, I suppose.
Half tights and Speedos. No big deal.
That's what we need. Exactly what Brian just said. Thanks to the group that checked in. Really appreciate it. Even though some even underestimated, you're checking in from New Zealand, and it's the middle of Monday for you. So definitely appreciate that. This has been fun, and we'll do it again. We'll probably just try to keep it on the schedule and hang out, basically.
For sure.
And as we get closer to, thanks, Jess. You stuck around. That's what I'm talking about.
I'll get you those food recommendations, Jess.
Yeah, let's start playing Chicago now. That's what we got to do. We're playing in Chicago.
Sounds great, buddy.
Live. Okay, we're decently entertaining, I suppose. But hey, awesome. Hey, and my mom's been listening the whole time. This is basically a family reunion right here. So, Brian, welcome to the family.
You guys all together.
Okay, cool. This is it. Thanks everybody. We'll get this on the schedule for next time.
See you guys.
Ciao.